Hello everyone! It is October 5th, Monday, and I'm excited to be back after that weekend. It was restful and had a good time with my family and stuff. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about advanced React hooks on EpicReact.Dev. So I'm excited to take you through this and then answer any questions that you have. If you do want to ask questions, then you go to the Discord to ask those, kcd.im/discord. And let me show you. It's right here. You're going to go to the Epic React category. It's the Epic React Live channel on Discord, where you can find me waving in two places at once. So feel free to ask any questions that you have on there. And I'm just going to take you on a tour of the Epic React Advanced React Hooks workshop. And then, of course, we have a lot more of these where this came from. So look forward to the future live streams, but today we're covering this. If you want to see what we talked about with these previous workshops, then feel free to look at my older live streams for those. And then look forward to the other live streams that I have coming up. We have the review of advanced React patterns and like all of the other workshops. It's going to be great. We're having a good time here. So with that, let's get a little review of what this is all about. So you've got the repository. This is open source. Anybody can pull this up and look at it and use it, work through it. I do want to make this as accessible as possible, but we do need to run a sustainable business, and that's what you're buying when you buy the videos, is my explanation as well as sustaining this business so I can keep doing this awesome stuff. So thank you for those of you who have purchased licenses, and for those of you who haven't, what are you waiting for? There is a discount right now for 20% off. So yeah, go grab that discount before we go full price next week. So we've got 8 days and 13 hours, so 8.5 days left. Not much time. Okay, so this is the repo. You can go through all of this stuff. You can get it set up yourself and run it locally. I've got it running locally here. And then it's actually also deployed to production on Netlify. So if you go to Advanced React Hooks, there you go, .netlify.app, then you'll find that there. And I'll paste this in the Discord. Why not? There you go. And yeah, let's take a look at what we're covering here. So for this workshop, I show you use reducer, and we start out as simple as possible. And this one's actually pretty interesting. Most of the time when people learn use reducer, they jump straight into the Redux way of doing reducers. And I feel like that's jumping over a couple of really key and important fundamentals. And so with this one, we start out with a really basic reducer that doesn't do a whole lot beyond what you get out of use state. And then we have a bunch of extra credits to get you a little closer to what you find with the typical Redux type of reducer, which frankly is the more common way to use reducer in in the code that I see, and even some of the code that I write. I typically am going to use it with a switch statement and everything, but I think it's important for you to understand the fundamentals of the API so that you can do more creative things with it as the case may be. So that's what the use reducer is all about. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff in there. It's kind of interesting. And then we get into use callback. So with this, we start doing some stuff with custom hooks. That's pretty cool. This exercise will be familiar to anybody who's done the workshops to this point. We kind of build on this exercise for a lot of our workshops so that you can not worry about the domain specific stuff and get more into the like what you're actually trying to learn. And so here we talk about use callback. I think we get a little bit into use memo on this one as well. So yeah, it's plenty of really cool things with this one as well. Yeah, this make safe dispatch with use callback, use ref, and use effect. That one's pretty cool. And this actually, somebody just today asked me in the Discord about this use async hook, which you'll see referenced in a lot of the workshops. This is the exercise where we build that use async hook. So it's pretty cool. And I like that. Maybe one day I'll open source it. It's kind of similar in some small ways to React Query's use mutation hook. So kind of interesting there. Okay, so then we talk about use context, and we start out like really basic and fundamental on use context. But then for this one, we actually have an exercise and a final, which I just noticed have some styling differences. So pull request welcome on that, or I can fix it later. But yeah, so we start out with like super duper basic. Let me just help you get an idea of what the API is all about. And then if you want to do a little bit extra credit, then you can use the exercise extra credit to get an idea of like a more practical use case for context, for sharing state across boundaries. So in general, it's better to reach first for composition and don't worry so much about prop drilling even. But context is definitely something every application will make use of, whether yourself or a library that you're using. So I think it's important to understand how it works and how you can use it to the best of your capabilities. So that's that. And then we talk about use layout effect. So this is one that you don't use a whole lot, but here I'll show you the problem that we face. So you'll notice as I add these messages in, things like you can see that the scroll bar jumps and then I scroll down. So that's not awesome. But then on the final version, we don't have that problem. We scroll instantly as soon as that message comes in. So that's the problem that we're solving with this exercise. And hopefully that helps you get an idea of like, okay, so I know we have use effect, I know we have use layout effect, I'm just not sure which one of those we should use. So that's what the use layout effect exercise is all about. Helps you get an idea of what that's for. And then use imperative handle is going with this same exercise. We just add this scroll to top and scroll to bottom where we want to imperatively make some changes to the DOM from the parent down into the child. And so we've got an exercise to make that work. And that works in the final. And in the exercise, this does not work because that's your job to make that work. So, and then finally, we have use debug value, which allows you to use media queries. And I can't get my screen wide enough for that media query to take here. There we go. And so, yeah, and I show you also that media query actually has nothing to do with the exercise. Use debug value is about giving the dev tools a better display value for that. So here, let's get rid of this. We'll go to the component dev tools here, and actually it's better on this separate page. So we'll do it there. This is why I have the isolated page so that your dev tools are like way better. And it would be even better if I was running it locally, but I'm on production, so these are going to be like anonymous and stuff, which actually kind of ruins my whole demo of this because use debug value is not used in production anyway. So let me run this locally so I can show you what this looks like. Looks like I've got something running on port 3000. So let's get rid of that and start this over. And in just a moment, I will show you what this is all about. Was that exercise 6? Yeah. Exercise 6. Open that and open this and you will see the difference. And this is what you're going to learn in this one. So if we go to box, we'll see we have hooks. We have this media hook. I think this is actually a bug because these hooks are not nested. They should not be. So somebody go report this to the React dev tools, because that should not be that way. But anyway, not super helpful. You can see that there are 3 media queries and that's their state, but like that doesn't do you any good. But on the finished version, what your job is to make it look like this, where it actually shows a label and it says, okay, so the min width is 1000, that's false, and this one, and yada, yada, yada. So it gives you a much better label. That's what use debug value is all about. So I teach you how to do that, and it's fun, and it's great. And there's even an extra credit on this for a format function. And I have used this in production, so good stuff. So that's all that we learn about in the advanced React hooks. It's a fun one. People seem to really like this one a lot. It starts to get a little bit deeper, especially people who have had experience with React hooks. They're going through this and they're like, oh wow, I didn't know that, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know that. That's interesting. But once they start hitting this, their minds start to blow, and then right here, like, you're just blown away. Your socks are off, because they were blown off. Okay, stupid joke. Yeah, so lots of cool and fun stuff there. Okay, cool. So with that, let's see what questions that you have. Feel free to ask any questions, and if I don't get any, then I will just stop. So here we are. Just wondering, from Arpan, when you need to share state between pages, like in Next or Gatsby, or when people use React Router, is there any way I can reach for something like composition, or there's no way other than context? So yeah, that's actually kind of tricky, because this is one of the beefs that I have with Next and with Gatsby, is that they are responsible for rendering for you. And because of that, they have to expose these weird APIs to allow you to like wrap things and stuff. And so I'm not sure actually whether you can use composition to solve that problem for sharing state across pages. I've never actually tried with Gatsby or Next. But I know that Remix will allow you to do this, and this is one of the reasons why I'm really excited about Remix.Run. So go take a look at Remix Run, because it will solve these problems. And even if like you just come here to play around with their colors, I love this. Like, isn't that awesome? I love that. It's good stuff. Yeah. So yeah, sorry. When is render props covered? It's not actually. Render props are have a very limited utility these days. Higher order components, same story. We actually do talk about higher order components in the performance workshop, but kind of as like oh, and by the way, you can do this. But instead of doing this, do this other thing. So yeah, we don't cover either one of those. I used to in this workshop, but once hooks came out, there was no reason, or there's very limited utility to either of those patterns, so I don't cover those anymore. Any way to debug React components in the browser in a traditional way? Yeah, so like setting breakpoints. I mean, yeah. So here, if we go localhost 3000, and let's pull up the final version of custom hooks here. So then you can go to sources. Sorry, I've got a lot of, here we go. 02, I'll go final, 02, and here I am. Oh, snap. There we go. Here I am in here, and I can just stick a breakpoint right there, and then I click here, and boom, I'm on my breakpoint. So yeah, that's how you do that. Just pull up the file. You can also add a debugger statement. So if we go 02.js, and I'm like, I want to know every single time we have a reducer called. Why is that? There we go. Did I spell it wrong or something? Yeah, so like you can add a debugger statement as well. And something went wrong. Here we go. Okay, there we go. And then we go boom. And what? Am I in the wrong file? Final 02. Let's try that again. There we go. Something weird was going on. But yeah, so you can stick a debugger statement in there, and yeah, just like your regular. This is actually one of the reasons why EpicReact is structured in the way that it is. It's one thing to be able to just watch a bunch of videos. It's a completely different thing to clone the repo and work through it locally on your own machine, in your own editor, using your own browser, and working through things just like you would at work. And that's the idea, is I'm going to present to you these problems that you would potentially run into at work, and then you're going to work through these things like you would at work. You're going to pull up Google and Stack Overflow and whatever resources you need, and I provide resources for you to get through solving these challenges, so that you actually remember the solution. So that's the idea. Okay, great. Remix API does look sweet. Yeah, it does. Started using React after hooks came out. So I don't know half the time what people are talking about when they mention things like render props or HOCs. That's a funny emoji. It's funny. Don't worry about it. You don't need to know higher order components or render props. We've moved on. I mean, render props still have a place, and I wrote a blog post about that, but yeah, we moved on. Any reason to call a function component like this over JSX? Yeah, you definitely want to use the JSX form. Have I written about this? Yes, I have actually. I wrote a blog post about this. Don't call a React function component. There you go. So read why it's important that you don't want to call a React function component. Yeah. Will changing value prop in context trigger a full children re-render? So yes, and I teach you all about that in the performance workshop, which I think we're talking about tomorrow. I can't remember what. Yeah, we're talking about patterns tomorrow, and then we'll talk about performance the next day. So yeah, we definitely cover that situation, and we can talk more about that tomorrow. Okay, just getting the last couple chats in here, but I think we're slowing down here. Yeah, and you can do that too if you want to. That's fun. I actually saw you post that earlier, Stin. It's kind of interesting way to do that. Okay, wrapping up. I know you're like 15 seconds behind me, so I don't mind waiting a little bit, but what would you use to make a component library to be used while developing? I'm not sure I understand the question, Raphael. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd just make a component and then import it and then use it. Sorry, if you could be a little bit more clear. Watching testing JavaScript, cool. Sometimes I can't apply the stuff you show in the videos. How do you get support in such cases? We have a entire category here all about testing JavaScript. So choose the module that you're currently in and ask questions of other people who are taking it. And if you are having technical problems, then go to the tech support channel where you'll learn how to get tech support for that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to wait just a second while people throw in some last minute questions. We're going to read a couple dad jokes. Don't tell secrets to in cornfields. Too many ears around. How many bones are in a human hand? A handful of them. That one was good. Cody likes it. Ha 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 ha. That was hilarious. Thank you, Cody. That one's good. All right, we'll do one more and then I'll see what last questions we've got. Why do bees have sticky hair? Because they use honeycombs. Ah, that's great. All right, good stuff. Imagine a header component that should be used in other React projects. Yeah, so if you want to turn a component into a library, excuse me, then there are a couple of approaches, but like they pretty much amount to either you have a monorepo that's like all of your projects are in this monorepo, and then you just make this component a package by itself that can be used by those other repos, packages, or you publish it to NPM, whether internal or the public NPM, and then you consume it that way. As far as like while you're developing it, so when I was at PayPal, this was like what I did, the last thing that I worked on before I left PayPal. And we created a standalone component library project, and I had Storybook in there. Storybook was great to be able to see all of the packages that we're developing. And yeah, just made the APIs what I expected people would need as they worked on these things, and that worked out great. So give a look to Storybook. Kevin's wondering how exactly is setting ref current in a function component make it not idempotent. So idempotent is a concept that I'm still struggling to really grasp myself, just to keep that all clear. But basically, from the way that I understand it is something that is idempotent means that you can call it many times, and it shouldn't make a difference how many times it's called, sort of. I think that's how it works. So with concurrent mode, here's the problem that you face if your function component is not idempotent. With concurrent mode, it can call your function component to get the JSX and to call all those effects and everything, but then it can actually say, oh, never mind, I don't need that, and we'll just throw that work away, and then it'll call it again. So if you're doing side effects, for example, setting the ref.current value during render, then that initial call is going to perform all of those side effects, and then all of that work gets thrown away. So you've just done side effects for work that no longer exists. So that can be a problem. There are situations where that could be problematic. So it's better to avoid those. It's very difficult to describe and to foresee the problems that could come from doing that. Which is why I'm not, so I'm sorry. It's better to just make your function components idempotent so that you avoid the problems that can come from React calling your function, throwing that work away, and then calling it again to actually do the work. So yeah, you don't want to set ref.current in render. There are exceptions to this, but those are exceptions for a reason. So, okay. All right, yeah, this was fun. Thanks, folks. I will be live streaming tomorrow. Yeah, Storybook is great. Live streaming tomorrow about the review of advanced React patterns, which is great. So look forward to that. We're going to talk about what we're covering there, and yeah, definitely talk to your boss about getting a license to EpicReact because it's going to be great. You're going to love it. People seem to really like it. I just made a new page on EpicReact.Dev called /tweets, and it's just a zillion number of tweets from people who really have been enjoying EpicReact. So go give those a look, and I'll be adding those. And if you want to tweet something about EpicReact, then do it. And maybe it will get to be on this page of people who seem to really like EpicReact. So anyway, thanks everybody, and I will see you at a future time when date.now gives us a higher number than right now. Okay, we'll see you all later. Goodbye.